the Panthers just had a bye week, but despite that, some news about them came out. They fired offense coordinator Joe Brady. Now, this guy was heralded as the next offensive genius because he worked alongside Sean Payton at LSU. He had tremendous success. Goes to Carolina. He's the next Sean McVay. He's the next Sean Payton. Everybody put him at that pedestal. Even after his first year with the Panthers, he was getting some head coaching interviews. And I know Joel here was like, yo, hire Joe Brady for the Jets.
He was part of my list. He wasn't the guy, but he was part of the list.
Saleh was your guy?
Saleh was, there's a few guys I was like, I'm happy if we get X, Y, and Z. I was like 5 guys.
So you would have been fine with Joe Brady.
Would have been excited, yeah.
I want to ask you this then. Do you think the Panthers made the right decision in firing Joe Brady? What are your thoughts?
I think Joe Brady's a scapegoat here. I think this more shows how Carolina has completely butchered the quarterback position over the last 2 seasons. Because for basically 2 seasons in a row, their offense hasn't been good by any means, but it hasn't been abysmal. You know, we're talking like the 20th to 23rd ranked offense. That's not something you're going to go home and brag about to anybody, but it's not like you have one of the worst offenses in the league where you go out there and you put up 7 points a game. I actually saw this tweet from Clink Cap on Twitter. If you guys want to follow him, he's a pretty funny follow. He's like, so let me get this straight. The Panthers, number 1, first thing they did, ran Cam Newton out of town, which I don't hate. You know, if it's time to go in a new direction, new head coach, all new everything, right? New owner and everything. So if you want to go get someone else, that's fine. All right, let's sign Teddy Bridgewater, $63 million. That's what we're going to do. Instead of Cam, sign Teddy, $63 million. A year later, you're going to trade Teddy Bridgewater and pay 70% of his salary for a 6th-round pick. So you're basically giving up on Teddy 1 year in, plus you're paying all of this salary to go play for another organization. All right, well, what's next now, right? You got rid of Teddy Bridgewater, you need a quarterback. You trade a 2nd and 4th-round pick for Sam Darnold, which, again, I didn't absolutely hate. I said, all right, like maybe if that's your guy, you like the upside, go for it. Then you bench Sam Darnold for P.J. Walker. We know what P.J. Walker is. He's the backup, nothing more. He's never going to be a starting quarterback. He's never going to be a franchise guy. He could be a decent backup for you. And then the next thing you do is you go and sign Cam Newton for up to $10 million. And he looked abysmal against Miami.
And Washington.
So you do all of this. And to me, Joe Brady becomes the scapegoat. We're going to go and fire Joe Brady because we can't figure out the quarterback. We need a reason to tell the media, tell the fans, tell ownership. This is the reason why I've been struggling on offense. The reason you've been struggling on offense is, 1, Christian McCaffrey's been hurt for 2 years, so that puts a wrench into everything.
Yep.
And 2, if you can't figure out quarterback, you're going through Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker. What offense is going to be good during that? I don't care if you're Andy Reid. You're not going to be having a top 15 offense with these quarterbacks.
I don't know. It's possible. That's Andy Reid right there. Respect that, man.
Not with P.J. Walker.
Yuck. I mean, you hit it right in the head. You want to look at a team that has gone through quarterbacks year in, year out, and trying to have success with them. Look at Denver Broncos. I think we lead the league in over the last, or I think since Peyton Manning has retired, we lead the league in most quarterback changes. I believe we have 10 different quarterbacks since that time. What's funny to me is they wanted to be more run-oriented. Matt Rule came out into the media and was like, we need to run the ball more. We need to assert ourselves in the run game. But prior to that, on first down, I believe they had a 64% of the time they were running the ball on first down when they were down 1 score or if it was a 1-score game. Now, in those scenarios, they average, when they're not running the ball, 7.4 yards per attempt, and then when they're running the ball, 3.9 yards per each run situation. Now, only 4 teams average fewer yards per first down carry. So you kind of forced Joe Brady into this, all right, we're gonna try and run the ball, but I think he understood we're beating a dead horse here. We're not a great run team. Why am I going to continue to do this? If they're already struggling, I understand the reason or trying to steer away from that. And especially when you have, as you mentioned, Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, Cam Newton at the quarterback position. I'd understand wanting to feed the running back, but it gets predictable as a defense. You know what's going to happen when you have this guy at quarterback. You're going to continuously see the ball handed off. So it's obvious if I'm a defense what I'm scheming for. I'm scheming for the ball coming to this running back. I have to make a play. So if Joe Brady's trying to switch things up and trying to to fool the defense because he's going to try and put a little bit of faith into his quarterback. I can't knock him for it. You got to try something different if you're constantly doing something over and over and over again. It's having minimal success. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do think that it was a scapegoat option. I just thought that it was a terrible decision, especially when you're regarded as Joel mentioned, the potential offensive guru, and now here we are where he's unemployed. So I felt like it was a little bit ill-advised, especially given the logic behind why he was fired, especially if we're trying to be a run-oriented team. But why are you trying to be a run-oriented team when, one, you're having no success with it, and two, the main reason why you would want to be run-oriented is out for the season. Last season, Mike Davis had some success, sure. But then again, Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback. This season, you don't have that luxury. P.J. Walker, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton are not Teddy Bridgewater.
So you're just calling Teddy Bridgewater luxury. It's funny.
And
it's true. It's funny, but it's true in this scenario.
Yes. He's luxury.
Yes, he is.
So I don't like the firing. I think that he will have a job, if not, probably not this year, next year for sure.
I think he'll get a college job quick. Like, I could see that.
But
very
I don't
easily.
want him to go back to. I don't want him to go to college.
I don't think he gets an OC position. Do you?
At Miami, he's getting into to be an OC.
University of Miami.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, if you give him a better situation, like we saw it. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson both had over 1,000 when they had Teddy Bridgewater. Joe Brady was calling the plays. This season, they have no quarterback, no true running back. Robbie Anderson's in hell. DJ Moore, aside from the first 3-4 weeks, has fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, yes.
I feel like that I'm not blaming Joe Brady as much as I'm blaming situation. So, I mean, for NFL organizations to hold that against Joe Brady would be tough, especially if he was this highly regarded. So I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibility he gets another OC job, but I think you're right. I think he probably does lean towards the college playing field, but I would like to see him in the NFL.
The perception around Joe Brady is better than an actual coordinator. The bottom line is that he's not a good play caller. And the situation in Carolina wasn't the best, but he's still not a good play caller. His claim to fame was his 2019 LSU season. And when you go down the roster, who wouldn't have success with this team? I could call 4 verticals every play and I'd get a touchdown every single play. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall Jr., Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Thaddeus Moss, then Damian Lewis and Lloyd Cushenberry on the offensive line, both guys who are playing fantastic in the NFL.
Love him.
I mean, all these guys outside of Thaddeus Moss are good NFL players, and Terrace Marshall Jr. still to be determined. But who wouldn't have success with that team? The fact that Matt Rule went into the NFL and said, my OC has to be Joe Brady, a guy that has no NFL experience, was frankly bad management by him. Matt Rule is also not a very good coach. This coaching staff is not a very good coaching staff outside of their defense coordinator. I'm forgetting his name right now. I think it's Phil Snow. It might be one of those. Outside of the DC, this coaching staff sucks. And those are the main guys that I want to really point out. Matt Rule, Joe Brady,
Phil Snow. Okay.
Phil Snow's the only one that is really worthy of his position because he's been great. And then you look at LSU's defense too. Patrick Queen, Delpit, Chason, Kerry Vincent, Derek Stingley, Christian Fulton. I mean, the team was just destined to be great. With the Panthers, Joe Brady in 2020, his first year as OC, 21st in yards, 24th in points. This season so far, the Panthers are 29th in yards and 24th in points. They have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Sure. Panthers fans want to rip their eyes out when they see the plays being called. Joe Brady just hasn't been good in translating to the NFL. And that happens with a lot of coaches, and he's very young. It's reasonable. I'm not going to say this guy can't be a great coordinator or even coach down the line because he's really young. I mean, he can definitely turn it around. Now he knows what to expect in the NFL. He's a young guy. He can definitely get better and be a great coach down the line. But right now, he's not that. To be fair to him, the situation matters a lot. No first-time OC is going to have success, very few at least, with a quarterback that is awful. The quarterbacks the Panthers have had outside of Teddy have been awful. And with Teddy, they were 21st in yards. But Teddy even said they didn't practice red zone offense. I mean,
That's ugly.
That is a knock on the
Blasphemous.
coaching staff, and that's why they were 21st in yards and 24th in points.
They didn't have McCaffrey either.
Teddy Bridgewater called out the staff.